За очікування. До слова зараз.
Again, sorry for keeping you waiting. And now the floor goes to Colonel Andriy Lysenko. And then we'll have Vlad Seleznyov, who is acting spokesperson for the General Staff, and Tatiana Popova, who is the advisor to the Minister of Defense. And they will introduce you to the accreditation card for journalists. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. The terrorists are using the silence regime to regroup illegal armed formations, and they conduct periodically chaotic, provocative shellings of Ukrainian military positions. For instance, the gunmen have shelled the positions of anti-terrorist operation forces from multiple missile launchers Grad next to the city of Dzerzhinsk, Donetsk region. Also, not quiet is the situation in Donetsk and Luhansk directions. The terrorists continue to conduct air reconnaissance with the help of drones. Over the last 24 hours, we detected 10 flights of enemy drones, in particular in the vicinity of Mariupol and Belosarayska Kosa. We see the activization of the actions of subversive and reconnaissance groups of gunmen both in the ATO zone and beyond its boundaries. Besides, there's a continuing relocation of military machinery from the territory of Russian Federation to Donbass, including self-propelled guns and lorries with personnel and ammunition. At the same time, the Ukrainian military are strengthening fortifications on the front line, and the peaceful residents of Donbass get the humanitarian aid delivered by the Ukrainian military. Over the last 24 hours, one Ukrainian military serviceman was killed and one wounded. There's strengthening of the armored power of the Ukrainian army continues. The state enterprise Kharkiv tank plant continues to repair tanks T-64B1 for the Ukrainian army, and they are equipped with a hanging dynamic protection of contact type. The Ukrainian special services avert and counteract all the attempts of terrorist activity on the liberated territories. Not far from the city of Kramatorsk, Donetsk region, the Ukrainian security service detained 2 gunmen and 1 propaganda worker of the DNR who called for armed resistance to Ukrainian power. The terrorists were members of the illegal military formation Vostok. The same group of SBU operatives detained a resident of the city of Kramatorsk, Kostantinivka, who actively abetted the organizers of the pseudo-referendum on the 11th May and actively supported the gunmen. In Volnovakha district of Donetsk region, because of the vigilance of concerned citizens, next to the rails of the railway Veliko Anadol-Volnovakha, a self-made explosive device was found with a trinitrotoluol charge weighing 15 kilograms. As a result of criminal actions of terrorists in Donetsk region, partially or wholly without electricity remain 19 settlements in Shakhtarsk, Mariinsky, Sinovatsky districts, and also partially the cities of Donetsk, Orlyvka, and Avdiivka. Over 60,000 people there remain without water, gas, or electricity. Yesterday, A humanitarian cargo from Ukraine was delivered to Kramatorsk and Severodonetsk, and the Ukrainian power with the authorities, with the help of specialists from the State Emergency Service, works to distribute this cargo to social institutions in the settlements that are being constantly shelled by the gunmen. And next to Stanitsa Luhanska, the border guards have allowed to go through the humanitarian cargo from the Ukrainian branch of the International Committee of Red Cross, meant for the residents of Luhansk region. And the general amount of cargo delivered there is 18 tons. Yesterday in the village of Markove, Konstantinivka district, Donetsk region, a school bus was handed over to a local school from an international oil processing company. The Czech charity organization People in Need is working in Donbas. Yesterday in the city of Selidovo, Donetsk region, the Czech Friends of Ukraine have gave as presents cards with financial help to the tune equivalent to $300 of the US dollars to 160 IDPs. In Artemivsk district, the People in Need, together with local authorities within the framework of USAID program Preparation for Winter, have given the same amount of help to 69 IDPs. In Konstantinivka, the District Center of Social Services for Family, Children and Young People have handed over 335 packages of baby food to mothers who have babies and who are IDPs, and also to families who are in dire straits. Yesterday, in Marinka district of Donetsk Oblast region, the humanitarian help from the International Red Cross was being handed over to people in need, and these are construction materials to restore their dwellings. As of the 25th of December, starting from August, after the liberation of settlements from terrorists, the Ukrainian authorities in Donetsk region have restored 5,357 objects. In general, from the temporarily occupied territory and the region of the anti-terrorist operation to other regions of Ukraine, 2,719 people, including 222 kids, were resettled over the last 24 hours. From Crimea and Donbas in general, 596,108 people were resettled from Crimea and Donbas, including over 130,000 kids. The pupils of Dnipropetrovsk School number 23 have greeted the Ukrainian military who defend Donetsk airport with season's festivities, and gave the Ukrainian tankmen 1,000 sweet cookies. The event was crowned with a festive concert for our kibborgs. On the training grounds of the National Guards of Ukraine, one of these days, there was a series of practical psychological trainings in conditions maximally resembling the combat conditions. Officers, psychologists of military units of Kiev Garrison, officers of the Psychology Service of National Guards, and instructors of League of Officers took part in this, and the main task of the training was form an automated response of the first psychological aid and regulation of psycho-emotional state of fighters who live through stressful situation. And of course, we now know that our fighters on the front line badly need not only medical, but definitely and namely psychological help. For the first time, people were trained how to stop a fighter who loses control over himself and how to protect this person and preserve those who are around him. The respective words and actions were shown how to deal with persons who have live guns in their hands and how to take them away from the site and talk to them and return them to bring them back into a calm disposition. This is a very necessary work, and as practice shows, this is very urgent and topical now, so such trainings will happen more frequently now. And the attention to emotional state and self-control is being paid by psychologists. Previously, we did not use such practice. You know, there were some lectures, but no practical lessons, and the practical training is badly needed. So we conduct this in order not to lose people. Today, on the 26th of December, an online photo project, ukrainefreedom.org, started its work. It tells about the main events in Ukraine from November 2013 until now. The information on the site is available in 11 languages. Due to the site ukrainefreedom.org, people who did not follow events in Ukraine can in detail get acquainted with the events of the last 12 months. At the moment, you can read about this modern Ukrainian history in 11 languages, including English, German, French, Italian, and soon the texts will be available in Spanish, Japanese, and Arabic, and not only in them. And this is our response to the powerful propaganda that has poisoned the awareness of many people in the world, and the information on this site is a powerful response to the question what has really happened in our country.
You mentioned the new equipment from Russia. Any details? What type of equipment? How many? We don't have any details on the equipment and personnel, but our intelligence people do have that. We understand what we need to meet those uninvited guests. Could you please give an advice how to behave for the transporters who are complaining? There are some plants that operate in Lugansk region, and the transporters, when they cross these zones where checkpoints are, now the money is collected from 1.5 to 2,000 hryvnias per truck. So please provide recommendations. Thank you for your question. I understand that this is an important question. I read a lot information of similar nature. So I do recommend, first of all, understand that we are not on the occupied territory. We are on the territory of a legal state. All the laws which are passed by our parliament are effective there. If there are any cases of illegal behavior, illegal treatment with any citizen who's moving along the territory of Ukraine, this should be registered in law enforcement bodies. This is the first step. Then monitor that, invite the journalists so that they help you and don't allow these cases to disappear. So I give you an advice. Exercise this control so that the control is effective. Work on that. If your rights are violated, you have the right to defend your rights. Does the leadership of ATO has an information about when will be the exchange of the prisoners all to all? Will that be happening on the 27th, 30th of December? And when will the heavy artillery withdrawn? There was information that the artillery will be withdrawn today or tomorrow. If I knew the answers to these questions, well, Nostradamus, you wouldn't need Nostradamus. I would be quite a competitor to Nostradamus. But as to the question about freeing our people from the captivity, that is personally controlled by the president of Ukraine. Our special services and volunteers are working on that, and I would request you not to push and not to interfere with the process. Believe that people are working, and we expect that by the new year our guys will be back home, and we will be not just happy, this will be our victory. We do not provide comments on this process. We are waiting for, looking forward to have a result. Do you know anything about why the negotiations in Minsk were cancelled? Will they be held this year? I'm not ready to answer this question because the negotiations, that is the topic which is not discussed publicly, that a lot of internal work is going on. But we believe that the negotiations should not just take place, but should bring some good result. And the first result should be a complete ceasefire. Any other questions? Thank you, Andriy.